Good morning. Time now 11:06. Thank you for waking up with us, enjoying your mid to late morning now and watching the weather now at 11 a.m. Time now again, technically 11:06, and want to talk a little bit about what occurred yesterday with that storm near Richmond Hill. We actually got some newer video in. I'll kind of explain that on my Twitter account. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. But first, going to get to some of these severe weather reports. And, you know, the trickiest part about all of this is that, you know, if you're under one of these stronger storms, few neighborhoods there, it's really strong. But the amount of people, you know, overall that are impacted by severe weather is very low. And you can see that by looking at official storm reports that came in yesterday. We had a couple, Long County, Liberty County over to near the Richmond Hill area. Again, one official report that it really was Richmond Hill, then another cluster here kind of in and around the Hinesville area. But you can see all the areas that were not impacted by severe weather yesterday. And that kind of is how I'm going to allude to the forecast today. We have a couple, few scattered thunderstorms in the forecast today. One or two may become strong this afternoon, early this evening, and the primary threat, like yesterday, will be isolated damaging wind gusts. So with that in mind, I actually want to bring up my Twitter account, talk about what actually occurred yesterday. I'm sure Chief Meteorologist Dave Turley and Meteorologist Jamie Ertel kind of went into this in greater depth yesterday. So I'm going to pull up Twitter now, and we're going to go to my Twitter account. I just tweeted this out. Again, if you have social media, maybe Twitter, maybe Facebook, I'm going to be posting it there as well. You can search for my account at Cutter Martin, and I posted this video, probably one of the better videos because it goes from before it begins. You know, you can see where it's raining, it's breezy, and then here, let me pull back the timeline here. Now clicking play, it's raining, it's breezy, lightning, thunder. Then all of a sudden, as he pans back to the left, the wind really begins to crank up and increase, and it's blowing. You know, initially, you know, I don't know if this is exactly which direction, but it is blowing in a straight line the entire duration of the video. This likely caused by a wet microburst. Again, a very small area, intense though area of damaging wind. Sometimes can be associated with hail. Didn't have any significant reports. Notice how hard it's blowing now, but still very linear, straight line coming out of a microburst. Now, what a microburst is, I'm going to talk it out for you here and kind of show you actually on a photo behind me. And basically, you know, this is a thunderstorm. Tops of the thunderstorm, bottom of the thunderstorm. Now, this thunderstorm itself may have not had a microburst with it, but it's a good image that we can use to explain what is going on. A couple of things to always keep in mind that are universal. Thunderstorm has an updraft, it has a downdraft, right? Not every thunderstorm is severe, but every thunderstorm is capable of being severe if given the right ingredients. Yesterday, we had a lot of energy bottled up for storms to grow really, really tall. Like kind of all the lightning and thunder we were hearing in Chatham County, storms were really energetic yesterday, though they were pretty isolated. And what happened was you had clouds growing really tall, a lot of rain suspended up here, and then you had a pretty intense downdraft develop, and that dropped what was suspended above the surface. It hit the ground, and it spread out rapidly. That's how you get a downdraft, and in this case, how you get a microburst with severe wind gusts, because it impacts the surface. As soon as it does so, of course, the wind and rain spreads out as if you're pouring water out of a faucet. It spreads out through the Tupperware, or in this case, several neighborhoods in the Richmond Hill area, and you get, of course, you're already getting rain and some breezy winds, but you get a very sudden increase in wind speeds, rain intensity, and sometimes hail, whatever is suspended in that thunderstorm cloud that can be brought down by the downdraft. So that explains what happened yesterday. Again, does not appear to be tornadic. That is not what the National Weather Service ruled. They too think that it was a wet microburst. So with that in mind, we could have one or two severe thunderstorms this afternoon. No organized severe weather threat. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center is not forecasting any severe weather, but we're going to go ahead knowing how things have gone the past several days and looking at the ingredients and the computer data and what's actually occurring this morning, say that one or two storms may become stronger again this afternoon. So if you have any questions about that, whether it's about the science behind microbursts or today's forecast, I'm on the WTOC TV Facebook page, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And it looks like we have some coming in. Good morning to Kenja. Good morning, Kathleen. Hey to you, Sophie. Good morning, Sabrina. Larry, thumbs up back to you. Talisha, thank you for watching. Hello, Tatiana, waving back at you. Crystal, good morning. Good morning, Paula. And Jessica says, about to go clean the pool. Is the weather going to be okay in the near term for the next couple of hours? That pool cleaning time, that should give you more than enough time to clean the old pool. Should be good to go. We are dry right now. Noticing, though, that we have a little bit of cloud cover starting to build up out there, but nothing going on. I think we're pretty quiet here, not only the rest of the 11 o'clock hour, but lunch hour, noon to 1, looking pretty quiet as well. But then between 1 and 3, showers, thunderstorms thunderstorms do begin to erupt in kind of isolated to scattered fashion. Beverly says, good morning. It is hot already. It sure is. So, you know, as the temperature warms up into the 90s, it gets hotter than 90. So, you know, a few to several degrees warmer than we are right now. That's when the clouds are really going to get a little energetic. They begin to grow, and eventually showers and a few thunderstorms will begin to develop. Lee says, why do storms always fizzle out before it gets to us on the coast? That's not always true. I mean, Richmond Hill, that's a southern Bryan County. That's a coastal county, and it flared up right over Richmond Hill. Now, sometimes you do have the sea breeze moving inland, and it cools down the coastline, so you have less energy for storms to use. Or maybe they flare up at I-95 as they meet up with the sea breeze here, and then they too release the cold air, and they tend to weaken after they release that downdraft we were talking about earlier, and they tend to weaken as they get to the coast. But sometimes, remember back to Whitmarsh Island, tornado, just a couple Fridays ago, that the sea breeze was pinned up against the coastline. You had storms moving east, and they just absolutely pummeled eastern Chatham County. So it's not always the case. There are kind of cases that argue in both points and kind of represent both scenarios. So I understand that, you know, sometimes it may seem like every day it weakens when it gets to you, but there are other examples of storms strengthening as they get right up on the coastline and can produce severe weather in that way. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Ashley. Good morning, Janet. I'm doing well, Zachary. Hope the same for you. Ashley up in Springfield. Hope you have a good day as well, Tammy. Kenja wants to know if it's going to be real hot today. It's going to be just about as hot as yesterday, low to mid-90s, maybe a little warmer in Savannah. We were only in the lower 90s yesterday, maybe 93, 94 this afternoon with a little more sunshine. Going for lower 90s, 93, 94 though, and I think upper 80s to near 90 at the beaches, low to mid-90s, a little bit further inland, maybe a little further north as well. So today's rain chance, again, like yesterday, it's kind of spread out here, or I should say there's a big gradient from 10% in Swainsboro down to a 60% chance of rain, Waycross, Jessup, and Nahunta. That is where the moisture is pinned up. That's what the contour, the green, represents the amount of moisture available for showers and thunderstorms to use. The darker the green, the more plentiful the moisture, and there is an absence of moisture here at Emmanuel County, Swainsboro, Sylvania. It may feel muggy here on the ground, but that doesn't mean there's moisture all the way up to the cloud tops up there, and that's why rain chances are lower further north and west. 50-50 shot at rain in Douglas, Coffee, Jeff Davis County, similar story. Appleton County, 50 to 60% chance of rain. Blackshear over to Waycross, Jessup, Odom, 60% chance of rain. 50% Brunswick, 40%. A scattered rain chance pretty much everywhere here south of the Altamaha River. Rain chance lessens as you get north of I-16, 20% Statesboro, 30% Rankin, 30 Savannah, 40 Tybee, 50 Hinesville, 50 Darien, Glenville, about a 40% chance of rain. Lyons, Santa Claus, Vidalia over to Reedsville, Toombs County, 30 to 40% chance of rain, and only 20% shot at a shower or thunderstorm there in Hampton, and a 40% chance Hilton Head. So more isolated inland low country, scattered, perhaps coastal low country Beaufort County. That doesn't mean just because you have a low rain chance you're absolutely dry and you just ignore the forecast and radar today, but it certainly means you have a lesser chance of being impacted by rain. All right, so I showed you the rain chance. Now it is a forecast model. That's what I'm showing you right now. Clouds, radar, what both may look like through the day. And notice how we're quiet now, 11 a.m., but by, and here, let me wind this back, by 1:30, 2:30, isolated storms trying to develop along the sea breeze along the coast, also here south of the Altamaha where the greater moisture is. No coincidence there. And then as we go deeper into the day, we will see greater rain chances here. Kind of, you know, they try to move north. That's what everything's going to be doing today, moving southwest to northeast or south to north. And they do try to work their way northward, but they will weaken quickly as they get north of I-16. So still a few downpours around by 7. And, you know, this says sprinkles by 9, 10 o'clock. I think we're mostly done by then. It's more of an afternoon and early evening rain chance. Kenja wants to know, when do fall begins? Because that's the heat causing my seizure. Oh, well, sorry to hear that, Kenja. Fall is in September technically, but a lot of times it's not really going to cool off here significantly until October into November. To do the yard work or not, the struggle is real. Tanya, I would say go ahead and do it. Do it now. You have at least a few hours with pretty quiet weather. A few hours you can knock out quite a bit. So I'd say go out and do it. Get it done with. Clefandra wants to know, how long before the cool down? Ruby, thank you for watching. Good morning, Suzanne. And you're very welcome, Zachary. I hope your day is awesome. So today, sorry, Kenja, today is going to be hot. There's no sign of much cooler weather. Today is going to be hot, low to mid-90s, feeling like the lower 100s. That is pretty much the case for the extended forecast through early next next week. No sign of any significant cool down at this time. But of course, as we head deeper into summer, eventually fall, conditions do gradually cool down. Technically, and here's some good news, climatological, seasonal averages, when we look back in history, we typically see our hottest temperatures in July in this area. So technically already starting to slide a little bit cooler, but it is a very gradual process, and we definitely can still have abnormally warm temperatures all the way into October, but then late October into November is when it typically begins to cool off more substantially. And hey, while we're here, I'm going to give you an update on the tropics. I have not updated this map, so let me check in with the National Hurricane Center. They are the ones that release these official forecasts. We kind of explain the data and give you the data, but they are behind the forecast for tropical disturbances. And they're still going with a 40% chance of tropical or subtropical, probably in this case, development with an area of storminess here, way off the east coast, out in the middle of the North Atlantic, North Central Atlantic, moving north and eastward. Initially thought it may move south and southwest, then northeast. Kind of just sitting here now, may move off to the north and to the northeast for the next few days. And even if it gets a name, it'll be crossed off the list, yes, but it's not going to impact anybody, will not be a substantial storm. So that is good news. And I noticed some more questions coming in right when I was kind of shifting gears talking tropics. Thank you, Zachary. Paige wants to know, when will the mosquitoes go away? Paige, your guess is as good as mine. I have no earthly idea. Probably going to have to wait for the first significant freeze for those to kind of die down. But with wet conditions, warm, muggy conditions, I'm sure they will continue to keep biting for the foreseeable future. So that's a look at today. Want to leave you with a look at the severe weather risk today again. Severe weather is unlikely as far as chances. It'll be unusual, or you'll be not lucky, but maybe the unlucky group that if you do see severe weather today. Again, heavy rain, vivid lightning, guaranteed atlas storms to develop today, and a low risk of gusty straight line winds, small hail, and not expecting any tornadoes today, but you can never completely rule it out with a strong thunderstorm. So nothing to worry about today, but simply keep alerts turned on in the weather app, and radar is also available in the weather app. It's good to check that out. I'm going to bring up the weather app now, show you how you can make sure your alerts are turned on, that you have all the latest and greatest information. When we click on the app, it's just a little bit of an ad that loads up, then the video will load. I talked about, you can see 1 or 2 storms will produce gusty winds. All the info was in there a little earlier this morning. We put that in there yesterday morning too, before the storms even developed. So to make sure alerts are turned on, click on the upper left-hand corner. Looks like 3 sheets of paper. Then click on the settings button. Once there, of course, WTOC alerts, I have those turned on. That means that you get our video alerts when we send those out. And then you can just click on weather alert types. Make sure precipitation alert is turned on. Make sure lightning alerts are turned on, especially if you're outside with pool time, and then severe alerts, you can check which ones you want on. Today, the most pertinent would be severe thunderstorm warning, but again, you can never completely rule out an isolated tornado with a strong thunderstorm or two. On that note, though, widespread severe weather is not expected, but we want you to be alerted to the possibility of a couple strong storms out there. And Lyndon says they live in Pool or work in Brunswick. You do have scattered storms down, especially south of the Altamaha, that trip down to work. Terry says, hope the heat doesn't last till October. Me either, but you never know. You as well, Terry, have yourself an awesome day. And again, not anything to be worried about today, but want you to know a couple storms could become a little stronger, gusty winds possible. Updates, the news at noon with Chief Meteorologist Dave Turley. You can also catch that in the WTOC weather app by scrolling to the bottom and clicking watch live. Have yourself a great Tuesday afternoon.